Good day, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Totally the Toad and I'm back with another video. Today I'm embarking on a new quest to make myself a coat. This is both exciting and terrifying at the same time. But I really need a new coat, so I'm gonna do it anyway. For this coat, I wanted something historically inspired, although not necessarily accurate, but also within my skill level, seeing as I've never made a coat before. I've tried making a jacket once before, there's a picture right there, which turned out okay, with some fit issues, and clearly I made this at home look to it, which I try to avoid this time. For inspiration, I found these pictures online, and as you can see, they all have a few like the poof and the everything. So that's what I used for my inspiration. So I went to my local fabric store, which also sells patterns, and I found this pattern by McCall's, which is from their sort of historical range. I do not know how accurate it is. It looks really nice though, so there is just one problem with it, however, and that's the length of it, because I don't want it to be that long, because first of all I'm kind of short and I don't know, it just seems a lot to me. Therefore I intend to shorten it significantly. For fabric I found this poly cotton blend. It's sort of a rusty colour. As you can see, the sort of shimmery effect, or whatever you can call it, is actually made from a blue color, which I like. It's very gorgeous if you look up close. It has a nice texture to it, and I kind of fell in love with this pattern. Oh, with this fabric, I should say. I do feel like it might attract all sort of dust though, which might be a problem, but there we are. So just like a disclaimer or whatever, I would love to use 100% wool for this coat, ideally, because it does keep you warm, it also is a bit water repellent, and it's such nice fabric. However, there are two main reasons why I didn't. The first one, and honestly the biggest one, is the cost. The pure wool is just so gosh darn expensive, and there isn't really any alternative at my local fabric store. But secondly, again, the money thing. It's not that it's too expensive per se, but it's also, since I've never made a coat, I'm not sure if I would like to spend that amount of money on something I'm not sure will look okay at the end. So if I ever do another coat in the future, I might splurge a lot and get some nice, 100% wool, but for now this cotton poly blend will do. So this first video is going to be about the mock-up because now that I've gotten 5 meters of this fabric and a pattern, I want to make sure it actually fits before I cut it up. So for the mock-up I'm just gonna use old bed sheets. I have a bunch of them, and ideally this will be okay. I'm sure using a muslin or something else that would be more similar to the fabric I'm gonna use for the actual coat would be better, but I don't have the money for that, and I already have a lot of these lying about that just needs to be used for something. So I think that's about it for the intro. So without further ado, let's get into it, shall we? So this McCall pattern is one of those that comes with this really crinkly and loud paper. Don't know what it's called, but I have saved both me and you guys some time by already cutting out the pattern pieces. There are 7 pieces that needs to be used for this coat, which isn't a lot, and I'm so thankful for that. I noticed while I was cutting out the pattern pieces that a lot of them are divided into A and B. In fact, all of them that make up the coat, except for the sleeves, are A and B. And I'm guessing that's because the pattern in its entirety doesn't fit the paper that they print this on. So what they tell you to do is cut out both A and B and tape it together to get the correct length. I don't want the correct length though, so I'm hoping that I can actually just use the shorter length, and that will be a good and decent fit for my final coat. Fingers crossed. Last but not least, for this pattern I want to say that they do include a few places, both in the main coat, but I think also in the sleeves, where you can lengthen or shorten the pattern, or where they suggest you do it. So if it's too long or too short in the torso, for example, it should be relatively easy to fix. The main problem with that is that I need to know if it is too long or too short, and I'm not sure that I'm good enough to know that yet. Well, we're back at the floor. I've tried setting up a lamp. I have this. I haven't really decided where I can put it to get the best light for this, and I don't think that's the right spot. Ideally it should be over there, but I haven't been able to figure that out yet. I just really quickly wanted to say, these are all the pattern pieces that are left over, which I do not need. It's A, because of the A and B situation where they want to add length, and B, because a few of the pattern pieces, I think the sleeves, have two different pieces for different sizes. So I only need the size that I need, which I think I ended up with a size 16, which is good around the waist and hip, but way too big at the bust area. So we're probably gonna have to take it in quite a bit up here. A lot of these have some really funky shapes to them. This is the middle back. It has to do with the fact that they're supposed to be pleats, which, if you remember my previous video, I really dislike making.
These fucking pleats, man.
So I have now cut out all of the fabric pieces for the mock-up from my oh so lovely fabric. Then I started reading the instructions. The first step involves reinforcing certain areas that will take strain and that will be clipped. I won't do this because this mock-up will not need to last very long. It's just for fitting purposes. The pattern also suggests this is when you do the interlining, underlining, or whatever you want to do. Again, I won't do this for the mock-up because therefore the first step that I will do is to grab piece number 2, which is the side front piece, and it has quite a big hole in it, which is for the dart. This hole is gonna be stitched up, that was stupid, to form the dart. Okay, so I have put together piece 1 and 2. There is a lot of room in this area that we might have to take out just a little bit of. But we shall see that once we have the rest put together. So let's continue on doing that. What we do now is we take piece 3 and 4, and this took me some time to figure out just because of the instructions are not. You pin them together and then you sew 3 little lines down into the fabric. I think that's to help with the pleating that comes later, and I'm super, you know, confused. We're gonna stitch down here along 3 lines. These 2 pieces up here, which are just flopping freely right now, will then be pinned together as such and then sewn together. Sorry if this is difficult to see. I need to figure out a better way to show you guys what I do when I try to do it. I don't really have that much space for proper filming, which is not ideal. So the next part is a bit trickier to explain. We take the part that we just stitched together, the piece, I think it was 3 and 4, and then we just fold it open open up the seam allowance. And I don't think this is, you should press this, and I will do that at the final coat, but here I'm not gonna bother doing that, I'm just gonna pin it in place. And then on this flap is where we made the 3 stitches vertically. That means there are certain small pockets is. So if we open them up and we line this where we stitched with the seam that we just made, we do the same to the next part. We just open it up, get this little seam, and we place that on top. What we get, let's see. Woo! What we get is this sort of doubled up plate, which is open down here, which is really weird. But we're supposed to stitch across from here to keep these newly formed pleats in place. But now we're going to take the 2 pieces that we did the pleating to, connect them right sides together. I forgot to mirror these. That's so annoying. But we're going to connect them at the other point that sticks out. In the middle of the night, I realized that I made this step wrong. I don't know if you guys remembered, we did these 3 little straight stitches. Afterwards we connected these 2 pieces. What I failed to see is that you're actually supposed to straight stitch all the way down here. I didn't realize that you were supposed to stitch all the way, which is why the pattern flaps like it did, which I didn't understand. So let's just start by fixing the mistakes that I made, which thankfully I realized by myself, and then we can keep going with the mock-up. Yeah, let's try on the thingy. I'm gonna back up a bit here later. I haven't put on the sleeves, as you probably have guessed. Can I maybe just do... I think the size is much better than I thought. Yeah, the size is so much better than I expected it to be. It's actually a really good fit, I would say. Surprisingly good fit. I might take it in just a smidge up here. You could also maybe pad out that area like they did back then. How does the back look? I'm gonna go and have a look at the mirror and see what that looks like. So that is a fit issue. Sewing is fun. I tore the fabric instead of the thread, mother flipper. I have now completed the second mock-up for my coat. I didn't film any of the process because it's the same as before. See, where does the back fall now? I think the back is actually too high now, or is it? So, I think that now the back is too high and it needs to be taken down about the same amount that I took it up, which means I have no idea what's going on and how to fix it. I do want to try to take this in, pin it in place just a bit tighter in the side seam as well as here, and possibly the dot as well, just to get it to have more of a fitted and flat look, because this doesn't look right to me. I'm going to cut the pattern out with the original height here, because this is that was a mistake. It looks not right. Slightly disappointed in myself for not getting the mock-up to look better than this, but I'm hoping that once I have the final fabric cut out that I can make it look better. So we're gonna grab, come over here to my sewing stash, our actual fabric, start cutting. The first instruction is underlining, and they suggest to underline the entire thing, and I don't think I will do that. I will interface by means of underlining. I think at least down to the hip, just to give the torso area some stability. I won't do that to the sleeves though, so only this general area, just to get it some stability and hopefully make it hold a nicer shape. To do this, I will use the same fabric as I've used many times before, which is this really stupid old fabric. This really stupid old fabric. I do not know the material, I got it from a friend, but it is very sturdy, it doesn't stretch. Ideally I should be using horsehair canvas, but that's very expensive and I'm not sure how to go about getting it in Sweden. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut out the pieces in this as well, and then sew it, or rather baste it together to the corresponding fashion fabric. I've basted it in place to the fashion fabric and it already feels much better. It has a bit more, well, weight to it I suppose, and I think it will look better on the body with this. What we are to do now is enforce certain areas of the pattern, and I took a picture of the pattern so you can see where it is right here. And I will do that really quickly before we get into actually stitching the thing together. After we've reinforced the playsets that are indicated on the pattern, we're just supposed to stitch up the darts along the side front. And we'll do that, and then I'll check back with you guys and we'll see about putting the thing together. Okay, let's do it. So, as you can see behind me, we have attached the front to the side front on one of the sides. I've also pressed the seams. I'm not sure how successful it was because it's very curved and I don't have one of those pressing cushion thingies, which I really should get. So far, I have taken in the side, no, not the side seam, oh dear, what's it called? What's it called? The thing that you hem. The seam allowance. Oh good, that was not good. So, as I was saying, I have taken in the seam allowance, or made it bigger. So instead of like a centimeter and a half, I have done like 2 centimeters. And I'm hoping that's all of the alteration that this coat is going to need. As I'm saying that, I realized that I should make one major alteration, and that is that I realized this coat has no pockets, which is not okay. I have 2 options for this, as far as I can tell. Either I make an external pocket and I sew it on top, ideally around here. That would disrupt a lot of the seams though. The other alternative is to make a pocket that you stick your hand into. So like in this skirt here, there's a pocket. And I think that's more difficult. But I also think it would be better in the long run. I realized I forgot to film where I put together the side and center back, but I have now done that and it's time to put those 2 pieces together. So next step is to put together the middle back pieces to each other. So it's the same steps as we did before, where you make 3 little dots, which helps with the pleating. This one is continued all the way down, and then this one all the way up, and then we have the entire back piece. So can I do that? Yeah. So now we got something like this. Now isn't that a neat seam? Let's keep it nice and short because my battery is dying once again. What we're gonna do next is take the final side back piece and connect it to this big piece we've done before. Once we've gone on and done that, we're again going to just separate the seam allowance and press it and then stitch it down with a whip stitch. I'm not entirely sure what to think about the whip stitching process. I feel like some places, particularly around the curves in the front, you can sort of see that it creates small little wrinkles, and I forgot this step last time too. Or not forgot, but I did it later than you're supposed to. These two pieces need to be connected. Like so. Just with a straight stitch as always. And after we've done that, we also press the seams open and we whip stitch that in place. It is now time, please focus. It is now time to connect the front piece to the back piece. I realized just now that I said I was going to connect the side pieces first, but that's not what you do. I just recalled. Yeah. So what you do is you connect these parts first, so the neck and the shoulders, which is fine because it doesn't interfere with this piece that I still need to whip stitch down. So I sewed the back together at the shoulder, or like the collar, as I said I was going to do, and I've already whip stitched this down. This is what you do. It's a bit unintuitive. You start, or I will start, by taking the collar. This is the front piece that I've laid out, not very straight but still, and you connect the middle to the middle back like so, and you pin this down. Then when you get here is where we have clipped and reinforced this edge here. That means that it can be flipped to the side like so, and then stitched down to the shoulders. And I remember this from the last time. You're supposed to sort of angle your stitches so they go and rip and connect here. And I remember when I did the mock-up that this part was really tricky for me to get right, and I don't think I managed 100% to ever get it right. But we're gonna have to do it, so therefore we're gonna give it a go. And after you have stitched this down, it's very simply to grab the side seams and line them up and stitch. And then we can try it on and see how it fits. And hopefully it will fit okay. I had to put my hair up because my hair is such a mess. It's so frizzy and stuff. Doesn't matter, beside the point. I have stitched together the sides. I cheated a little bit and I just sewed, made sure that it was the seam allowance was opened, and I sewed, and then I can just whip stitch this in place in a while. But what this means is we can actually try this on, hopefully. And we'll see how it fits. We're gonna start by trying it on the way it's intended, and then we're gonna put it on inside out, I think. Let's see. Yeah, right? This is not too bad, is it? It's not too bad, I think. I'm gonna have a look in the mirror before I speak. Okay, so I have looked in the mirror, and I think that it's not a bad beginning. I think it is a bit too big, because at least around here, because the way it falls here is very flat, and I potentially want it to be a bit more taken in, just right there. And other than that, I think it's fine. We're gonna try it on in the inside out as well. Yeah, it is right here. It needs to be taken in a bit, not too much. And I think that the rest is fine. Then I realized that I never finished sewing in any pockets, and I closed up the side seams. I have a sneaky feeling this is going to be way too long.